Welcome to the On Brand Podcast, the show where we dive into branding, marketing, and living life on brand. I'm your host, Jessica Carr, a marketing strategist with over a decade of experience helping businesses of all sizes amplify their impact and connect with their audience. Together, we'll explore actionable strategies, inspiring stories, and the latest trends to elevate your business and personal brand. Whether you're an entrepreneur, a creative, or someone ready to make bold moves, you're in the right place. Let's do this. Before I dive into this episode, I'm going to address the TikTok ban. At this time of recording, we are facing TikTok being banned in the US on January 19th. We also had an announcement from Meta last week stating they will no longer be using third-party fact checkers, and they will be allowing content and comments that harm women, minorities, and the LGBTQ community. Now, if you are like me, you are no longer aligned with using Meta platforms as an alternative for TikTok if it's banned. With that being said, I know a lot of business owners are concerned about how to promote their business online without Meta or TikTok. I have a solution for you. Not only will I have a podcast episode on this shortly, but I will also be hosting a workshop on Wednesday, February 5th at 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Alternative Marketing Playbook. I will be walking you through how to make your business bulletproof against the changes we will be witnessing in social media this year. If you are wanting to learn how to pivot your marketing strategy this year and survive the social media storm, register for my workshop at bit.ly/JCC Playbook. Again, that is bit.ly/JCC Playbook. Today's episode is a part one of a two-part series for planning your marketing strategy for 2025. Because it's January, it's pretty much the perfect time to be planning your marketing strategy for this year if you haven't already done so. Truly, the most perfect time to plan your marketing strategy is probably like August or September of the year before, but that's okay. If you haven't done it yet, that's why I'm here. This is the next best time to do it. Now that the holidays are over and we're looking forward to this year, it's time to really evaluate our marketing strategy. Now, it's important to reevaluate your strategy every year for a couple reasons. First of all, consumer trends are changing constantly. Really, you want to evaluate trends more often than once a year, but this is the time to reflect back on the previous year on consumer trends and upcoming trends that are a little bit more long lasting. Also, technology is constantly changing. We have AI tools that are constantly coming out. It seems like there's a new one every day. We also are looking at our budgets for this year and seeing how much marketing budget we have. With that being said, we're also planning our campaigns for this year. What type of events are we doing? What holidays are we planning around? What is coming up this year that we want to plan our campaigns around? Finally, the last one I want to bring up is our competitors. At the beginning of the year, or when we're planning this year's marketing strategies, we want to think about our competitors. Are our competitors still in the game? Did we gain more competitors? What are our competitors doing that we want to evaluate ourselves against as well? I made this a two-part episode because this really does get into a lengthy discussion. So I wanted to break it up a little bit for you if you've never been through this process before. Today, I'm going to outline the beginning of your strategy and that step-by-step process. We're going to do some evaluation in our business and see where we are currently. In the next episode is when it's going to get a little bit more fun in the sense that we're planning for this upcoming year, but you can't really plan for the future without knowing where you are currently. So we're going to go through the step-by-step process of creating your strategy. When I'm starting this process, I always like to look at our goals. What are your goals? What do you want to achieve with your business this year? Are you offering any new products? Are you pivoting your business model? Are you planning for growth in your business? These are important things to keep in mind before you can begin your strategy. After you evaluate your goals, I want you to think about who your customers are again. Has your customer base shifted? One good example that was really famous in the last few months was Jaguar, the car company. They did a huge rebrand with their company because they realized they needed to shift their audience to a younger demographic because the demographic they were trying to target before with their branding was aging out. And so, in order to stay relevant, they decided to do a rebrand and they shifted their customer base to a younger customer base. Now, that's a pretty extreme example of what a company could do. Like, that's a huge shift in customers, but it's a good example to kind of look at. So, are your customers still your customers this upcoming year? Personally, with my marketing strategy and branding, I had a customer shift. I was at the end of last year working or wanting to work with tech startups and medical device companies. And while I'll still work with them, after the election, I had a big come to Jesus moment and a big pivot with who I wanted my customers to be. And now I feel very called to help women who want to grow their businesses beyond something small and local. I really want to help women make a big impact. So that will include businesses outside of the tech industry and medical device industry. So, with that, ask yourself, has your customer base shifted? And even if they haven't shifted, this is good to look at because maybe your target audience hasn't shifted, but maybe that audience themselves has changed in some way. A good example at the time of this recording is we are waiting on the results of if TikTok is going to be banned or not. A lot of businesses were using TikTok to market and promote their businesses in service based industries, restaurants, retail e-commerce. So I think it's like 7 million businesses were using TikTok. If TikTok is banned, they can't use TikTok anymore. So they have to figure out where their customer is going next. What platform are they moving to? That's another example of how your customer might stay the same, but your customer's behavior might have shifted. Next, we are going to evaluate your competitors. I kind of mentioned this a little bit already, but I'll just go through it again. So, for your competitors, are they still in the game? Are there any new competitors? What are your competitors doing? Have they shifted their messaging? What type of content are they creating? Now, competitors are a good thing. If you don't have competitors, then I'm going to be concerned that you don't have a good business model, in all honesty. That's like entrepreneurship 101. So we want competitors and we want to evaluate where we stack up against our competitors. They will help you level up your own business. So never be afraid of evaluating your competitors and seeing where they're at and seeing how you can use inspiration from them to level up your own business. Next, I want you to audit what worked for you last year. So, what worked and what didn't work? How are you tracking your metrics? You need to be tracking your marketing performance. If you don't have this in place, it's extremely difficult to know what's working and what's not. I have a performance tracker that you can download. I'll put a link in the show notes because you need to be tracking your metrics. What you don't measure, you don't grow. It's important to track your marketing performance and metrics so you can see how you're growing over time and what is working and what's not. If you've been tracking that, you can kind of look back or think back to what worked this year. You might be able to even go through your social media accounts if you're using that as a metric to go see what posts were performing well, all the things that you would put in a performance tracker. But I want you to think about what you would like to expand on more this year. What happened last year that worked really well? And what do you want to keep working on? If it's working well, you want to do more of it, right? And on the flip side, what didn't work? What are we not going to do anymore? I want you to think about what is your organic strategy currently? What are you doing in organic marketing that you like and want to keep, doing more of? And then if you're doing paid ads, I want you to think about what your performance was last year. Now, if you're doing paid ads, I really hope that you're working with someone who's a paid ads expert. If not, please consider it because doing paid advertising is like a whole other ball game. I would know because I used to manage paid ad performance. Now, with your paid ad performance, if your performance is low, it's time to evaluate your sales funnels and your organic strategy before switching to your ad strategy. I have found that organic and sales funnels actually directly impact your ads performance. And it's crucial to make sure you have those foundational aspects in place. Otherwise, you are going to be overspending on your advertising and having a very low return on investment. If your ad performance is low, we need to evaluate your organic strategy and your sales funnels. It might not be your ad strategy at all, it could be something else. I went through a lot of information in a short amount of time. This is part one of a two-part series for actually creating your marketing strategy for 2025. So, we are going to go over what to do next after the reflection part, which is this episode, next week. But I am going to include a free downloadable guide that walks you through this process. So you have something to go based off of and you have something to reference. So you can find that in the show notes of this episode, the guide that will help you manage this process a little bit simpler. Next week, we are going to go through your strategy. This is going to be the fun part next week, is actually creating the plan. And so I will see you next week on the On Brand podcast. Until then, go through these steps to evaluate where you are currently with your marketing efforts so we can make a plan for next year. Thank you for listening to the On Brand podcast. If you found today's episode valuable, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who'd love it too. Until next time, keep amplifying your impact and living on brand.